I hope you can see my screen.
Mm,
See, I just shared.
yes, yes.
So these are the configuration of for
Yes, this
Hibernate.
was I'm talking about.
So if you're using these, so these remains same, except your database configuration, your database name, and username password. These are Hibernate configuration. So you have to keep it intact. And as per the what do you call it, entities you have to create, you have to
Mm-hmm.
map them in configuration file. So
Like
more or
you
less it
mean,
remains same.
sorry to interrupt.
No, it's fine. So more or less
I
your file remains same. Just you have to make sure that
mhm.
you have all the database configuration. These four lines are for database, and other lines after that these are for Hibernate configuration. Yeah.
Okay, you mean that we are telling like Hibernate with that we are using this SQL and this data and all, right?
Yeah. XML file I think you're saying, not SQL.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Okay.
XML. Yep. And how we are reading this file, because we have one file created earlier inside that utils one, that utility package, this one. So this
Mm.
class is using or reading that file from here. And I haven't discussed this class yet. Maybe after this class, I'll, because this class is not required. I don't think in your development, journey, you might or anyone will write this kind of code ever. I never wrote this code in my 11, 12 years of journey. Never wrote this code except while teaching, because
Mm.
we are writing a standalone application. Guys, this for everyone. We are writing this standalone application. We don't have any other framework support to execute the entities we have created or trigger the flow, where we are dependent on the main method. And think about on production level, nobody's going to ask you to create a main method and trigger hybrid entity. No, we have a whole flow. We have lots of other frameworks supporting each other. So since we are in a standalone means single entity or single framework, and we are using that only. So right now we don't have any other thing. So we have to write some tin code so which can read that file. That file means the configuration file, and extract all data and just summarize it and gives you a session factory. And that's the ultimate goal. That's why I'm not into explaining like why what this file is doing, because you will never do this part. It will confuse you if you go into the account. But yeah, you can always go that. Let me give a go through just a over picture, just where it actually reads the file. So if you open this file, we have certain static members of fields, then if condition, then null check, and then it says something. What it says, new standard service registry builder dot configure dot build. If I open this configure method, this is the object. I know this is a constructor, so no question on it. It's just a object creation. After object, it is calling a method configure. Let me open this method if I can. Yes, I can open this method. Public, that's a return type, that's a method name. And what it is returning, return configure. There's a method which is taking one argument. What it says, default CFG resource name. Okay, cool. Let me hold control button and click on this name. And if you see, we are inside this file, and the line 42 says something something, and then hibernate.cfg.xml. So I haven't given this weird name by myself, hibernate.cfg.xml. It is configured itself in Hibernate 5. They have mentioned in their own library that if someone using Maven and put this file inside src main resources, so we can fetch it. The only condition is that developer must write this code. If they are writing some code which is explicitly reading our configuration file, so they have to use standard service registry builder class, call the configure method and build it. This standalone line will do all the stuffs. It will read that file and put that inside reg, that a registry object you can say. And from the registry you can get the metadata, that is about the, I mean, data about the file. And then from there we are getting a simple metadata, and from there we're getting search factory. So that's the whole flow. But the ultimate thing is inside this configure method, Hibernate itself calling that file. If you rename this file or remove that file or do anything, but if it is not there, the Hibernate CFG XML inside src main resources, you won't be able to run the Hibernate application. So this is the file. This is the code which is exactly just reading the file. So you can just place it and obtain the session factory. This is the only criteria. Why we are writing this file? To get the session factory. Once you have session factory, you can create multiple classes. Use the session factory. That's what we obtained on line 12 from this class. And then this is our logic or the piece of code we are writing. And again, I am repeating, you will never, I don't think it's going to happen. Someone will ask you to write a explicit code to explicitly read a CFG file. And by the way, uh, every project nowadays, almost 85 to 90%, if you're talking about Java, they are on Spring Boot, and Spring Boot has its own configuration, a very vast configuration, a rich environment, a very rich environment. So there's no place for this Hibernate CFG file. Believe me, there's no place for this. It deals in properties and JSON files. Lots of extra files, Spring Cloud services there, which plays somewhere on cloud. So you will never deal with this file in your projects. The whole idea to teach you guys this is also a possible way where you can put the XML file. But yeah, you will never do this in your actual projects because configuration will be different. I hope I made myself clear. If anybody has a question from previous class, so they can ask. Otherwise, we will resume on mappings in Hibernate. No questions, so fine. Next mapping is one to many mapping. The name says one to many. That means one object with many objects will be connected. Let's assume we have some uh, entity. Let's say driver. Okay, there's a driver, and driver will have its own fields like ID. Obviously, we need a primary key, then a name. Again, I'm keeping it simple. Just two fields are enough. Next, I'm going to create, um, let's say car, or let's say vehicle. Fine. So that's my next entity, which will have again at least the primary key. Must. It is must. Done. Then let's say name, or let's say type. Okay, let's make it type so it will be different from driver class. Again, keeping just two fields. You can free to add more fields, but again, I just want to keep it simple for you guys to understand, so you guys focus on one to many, not on, so not got configured or focused on the other fields. So just two fields are enough. Okay, so we have to decide, like we did in one to one mapping, which class should be primary class, which class should be secondary class. So I'll treat driver as my primary class. So here I have to map this vehicle inside driver. So it goes like vehicle type. And obviously its type would be capital vehicle, the class. Small v for object reference, capital V for the class. Okay, but thing is here we are saying multiple, right? One driver will have multiple vehicle. That's right. Let's put it here. Okay, let's save this image. Oops. Okay, so this goes left, this goes right. Okay, so what we are saying, one to many. One driver mapped with multiple vehicles. So I can say one driver, oops, one driver with n number of vehicles. That's the idea. So if I see this mapping or uh, class relationship, it is one to many. Okay. So one is driver, many is vehicle. Cool. And obviously, to achieve this mapping or relationship, Hibernate must be providing some annotation. So the annotation is straightforward, one to many. No confusion, no chaos, just straightforward annotation. And anyone can understand, okay, this is about mapping. Clear. But there's one catch here, guys. When we deal about or when we talk about one to many. Thing is, when it comes to mapping, we call this bidirectional mapping. Bidirectional mapping. Why we say that? Why it was not a case in one to one? Because look at from left to right. What it is? One to many. Right. Now look at from vehicle to driver side. If you see from vehicle to driver side, it becomes something else, a reverse of one to many. it becomes many to one, right? And that's why we call this, it's bidirectional. So we have to maintain this mapping at both ends. It is a requirement. It's mandatory that you have to manage this mapping in both entity classes. If you guys talk about previous mapping, so we talked about person and the passport. Here the person was the primary class, and I have mapped passport class here at one to one. We haven't mapped anything on person, anything about person in passport class. Although you can do that, but it was not mandatory, because if you look from person to passport or person to person, it becomes one to one. Mapping will not get affected. But here case is different. From driver side, it is one to many. From vehicle side, it's many to one. Many means vehicle, one means driver. Okay, and for many to one, the annotation is many to one. Okay, great. So we have this kind of mappings. So that's for first catch here, and second catch will come when we start implementing. Okay, so let's quickly create these two classes or entities in project. So close all, expanding the entity package. Okay, some just saving some time. Again, I suggest tap your code, don't just copy paste. So first class would be travel. Travel is here. Everything means same. This should be changed. Name, and let me generate these tags again. Okay, fine. So this class is ready. At least for now. Let's copy this class and generate new class, this vehicle. And everything remains same except type. Okay, let's generate its status cutters. Okay, fine. Okay, so driver class is ready, vehicle class is ready. Now we have to map this vehicle. Okay, one more thing I forgot to mention, because if it is going to vehicle, not just one, multiple vehicles. So it's not just one vehicle, it's going to multiple. So need to change the type. It's not vehicle, it's going to be list of vehicles or collection of vehicle. So I have to remove this. I have to write list of vehicle. List of vehicle type. Oops. Yeah, so that's how it will be used. The vehicles are multiple. Okay, fine. So have to do the same here. Let's create one more field, private list from util package, and E will be get replaced by vehicle. This one I'll say vehicles. On variable you have to mention vehicles. Okay, and let's generate its status cutters. Okay, so now we have status cutters for both classes. Next thing is mapping these two newly created entity in configuration file. So here goes the driver class, double R, and here goes vehicle. Okay, and path is not correct. What happened? Driver, double R here as well, double E here as well. Okay, fine. Path is fixed. So entity creation is done. Mapping those entities in configuration file, it is also done. Now we can move forward with the actual part. So we know if we execute this code, Hibernate will fail to understand this because it doesn't knows what is vehicle. Obviously, it is entity, but if we are using this vehicle in this class with has a relationship, it fails to understand. So same thing we did in person class. we have used at one-to-one annotation. So something similar we have to do here as well. Let's close this person. So now we know it's list of something. So how to tell this to the guy, the Hibernate? It's one to many mapping. How to read this annotation, guys? Watch it closely. Come on, go away the highlighted part. Okay, let's be. So the first one, the one is actually for current class, that is driver, and two, and then many is for the field which is below here. So that's how we read one driver to many vehicle. That's how you can understand it. If you understand, okay, you might get confused why this one to many used here, or how to understand this is for vehicle. So one is for current class, and two is like a in between, and then many is for the next field which we have used here. Okay, same thing you have to do on right side, the vehicle class. I have to create one class, reference, private, um, driver, driver class, and it's going to be one only, right? So here annotation would be many. Many is for current class, which is vehicle, and one for driver class. And obviously we need its set status. Okay. So now we have both entity completed. Okay. Now we can write its tester. That will the main part. How we can write it. So going to create a new class. I'll copy this class. I'll write one, two. By the way, guys, in this one example, we can accomplish both examples, one to many and many to one. Both can be covered in the same example. So I don't have to write a separate example for many to one I don't know, mapping. And let's remove this part. Okay, it is done. We have a template ready for us where we are reading all the configuration of CFG file and flushing and closing all the open connection. So first thing, instantiate the uh, vehicle class. So thing is vehicle will be multiple in this case because we are dealing with multiple vehicles or many vehicles. Okay, and one one more thing I forgot. Oh, it's already there. ID. I thought I forgot about auto generation. So both entity has their auto generated primary key. So I just need to deal with only one field after that. So I have to create first vehicle, uh, vehicle one equals. I'm going to create three vehicles. Then say vehicle one dot ID don't not required. So I'll say type. Let's say SUV. Let's copy this and create this vehicle 2. It's vehicle 3. Okay. My bad, it's driver. Let's type. Come on. Hmm. Okay. CV. This is going to be set type again. Let's say sports. Let's say truck. Okay. 18 wheeler something. So we have three vehicles ready for us, which will get mapped to driver object. And this is also type. Okay, now we have to instantiate driver class. Driver, driver equals a driver. We just need one driver, so we can easily map it to multiple objects. So driver dot set ID not required, name. Let's say John Wick, huh? Fine. Now we have created instance of both types, one for vehicle, one for driver. I mean three for vehicle and one for driver. Now we need to combine them or map the actual part. This is the actual part. Earlier we have done that, like how to set ID and string. We know that it's old now. How to map this? So we need to map every single vehicle to the class. So driver says I have a collection. Driver dot set, it says vehicles. I don't have any collection for vehicles. So let's create that object, collection of object. So let's create list vehicle. Then I'll say vehicles equals new array list. And then this vehicle will take all the elements. Vehicles dot add. That's how we add collections or elements in collection. One, two, two, three. Okay, done. And then finally, I can remove this null and give this reference of collection vehicles. Okay, so we have successfully set all the fields for driver. ID is auto-generated, name we have given, and vehicles for we have created a collection of vehicles we just created here. So three vehicles are added in a list of vehicle collection. But one thing is missing for vehicle side. Vehicle ID is generated, name we have given, I mean the types is given, but we haven't set the driver yet. So I'll go back on my tester file, and then after this I can set driver for all the vehicles. So start with vehicle one dot set driver, and this remains same. So I'll copy this line, 2 and 3. This might be confusing, but if you have a clear understanding what fields we have created in our entity class, you can easily understand why I have done all this work. So 3 instance for vehicle, then we have created this collection because we have to refer this collection to driver. Then we created instance of driver, initialized all the fields. One field was missing for vehicle, which was driver. So we did that here after creating all everything. When everything is filled for driver, we have set driver as well. So both gets filled up. The last part is how to save. So let's count how many objects we have created. One, two, three. I'm just looking on new keyword. That's one way you can think of, okay, so how many objects? So one, two, three, and the four. Sorry, not this one because this is not going to persist it directly. It's about objects or the entities. We have to count entity objects, not any other object. So three for vehicle, one for driver. So four objects basically. So after doing everything, just before flush, I'll say save all entities object. Okay, and then we'll call session dot save. And now sequence doesn't matter. You can save it anyways, but I always prefer my primary class to be first, then other classes. Then this, then session dot save. It will take vehicle one, two, three. So one object, copy this line, two and three. Done. Okay, so I guess it should work. So we have everything in place, saving all four objects. This looks ugly because if think about we have 10 objects. So do I have to write all 10 objects for now? Yes. We don't know yet how to fix it or how to write a proper code. Okay, so this should work. Let's see if something else will not come up. So since we are in a main method, right click on any empty space within this brush. So any empty space, right click, run as and application. And we should see multiple in SQL commands. And yep, lots of SQL queries. So we will come back to these queries, but for now, let's have a look on database. Close all. Okay, so let's see how many tables for vehicle driver gets created. Refresh. Okay, one for driver. Cool. Opening it and I can see only driver detail, ID and name. Fine. Let's open vehicle class. There it is. Sorry, table. Opening it, and it has mapping of driver ID and with all the fields ID 123, type, and driver ID. This ID is used here. Okay. Next, we can also see there's one more table, driver vehicle. So what does Hibernate did? It picks the name of the tables. Driver is our primary key, so it picked its name. Primary table is here, and then vehicle table. And if you open this, you will see all the references. So driver ID is one, so all the one ID, and this ID is mapped with all the vehicles, one for two, and one for three. So that's how Hibernate keep tracks all the references. Okay, now let's go back to the queries, and then I'll paste the screenshot of that as well. Oh, even before that, I need to put the code. Just give me 5 minutes, guys. Let me put everything on Paint. We'll start with driver class. So I'll just keep the fields. You know what is getter setters, so I'm not going to add that. Vehicle. Okay, and then we have configuration. I'll just pick only 2 lines. Driver and vehicle from CFG file. So this is driver.java. This is vehicle.java. This one is hibernate.cfg.xml. Okay, now our tester file, quite big. From there to here, copy this. Need to decrease the size. Then should be fine. This is, so this is our class. This is the critical thing. We have saved all 4 objects. And here we have done instantiation of vehicle class. Is one too many tester.java. Okay. And once we execute this code, we will see lots of queries. Think about it, guys, if you have to manage it by yourself, you will struggle a lot. Like what should be the name, how to give it a proper name. Lots of questions will come up in the mind. But since we are using a framework, so it's good with that. It understand what's not to be done. Table, driver, person, student. We don't need this student object. Get rid of it. Person. We don't need this person as well. Vehicle, driver, vehicle. Okay. So if you notice, top 3 are for create commands. Then it perform alter queries to add primary keys and foreign keys. Then it is insert recorded to driver, 1 object, then 3 object inside vehicle, and then 3 object inside, or 3 rows inside the third table. That's how Hibernate works. And as a result, what comes up, let's see on the pit image, sorry, database screen. Okay, so first one is the driver detail. There it is. Second, the vehicle. Third is the mapping of both tables. This is driver table. This is vehicle table. This is driver underscore vehicle table. Okay, so that's the impact, and that's how one-to-many mapping works. I'll suggest try your and because with this example we have also covered many-to-many. So I can mention many to one is covered. Sorry, many to one is covered. Now homework is try. That's the first homework. Try many to many mapping. Same way, create just think of an example and random example. I don't come with the classes. I just created randomly. So think about anything many to many. What could be anything? Let me give idea like teacher students, multiple students, or passengers or flights, um, trains, or any automobile. Or that way you can just think of and try to create that mapping. So keep it simple. Just keep two mappings fields in one or single entity and try to see. Annotation is simple. It's many to many. It will work. Okay. Now coming to second point about this. Um, if you guys notice here, we can see we have driver, vehicle, and driver class. The third table purpose is to give a mapping, but I can get this mapping from vehicle class itself, right? These two fields or the whole table doesn't make any sense because ultimately the idea for third table is get the reference of next table and I can get it from here. If I have that vehicle class, I can see which driver obtains which type of vehicle. So ID is important and from this ID I can even get the driver name. So if I just combine these two tables, my task would be done. I don't need that third table. So what I can do, I can go back, let me try on here where I have many to one annotation on my vehicle side because this is coming from vehicle side. I can map here. I'll say um, target entity or mapped is one annotation. Set tracker ready. Will this resolve? And vehicles. Target type driver dot class. Okay, let's see will this impact. Otherwise, I'll see later. So let's remove the tables driver, and vehicle. Stop tables. Up now. Let's close all. Refresh driver and vehicle. Um, drop tables. Drop now. Okay, it's gone. Great. Let's stop the service on Eclipse as well. Okay, so employee password. Fine. Driver is gone. Let's see will this fix or not. So I just mentioned target entity. Well, I haven't used this feature a lot, so let's see if it works. Otherwise, I'll let you know tomorrow, maybe. So create table, create this, and create a vehicle. That's the thing. Okay, so still we have the driver vehicle. Let me verify here. Yeah, we have driver. There was one property. I think I missed its name. It was something mapped Y, which is not coming here, which gives this feature. So you can mention that what I want, what I don't want. Okay, I'll let you know tomorrow about this feature, how we can get rid of third table. But we can definitely do that. Fine. Next thing about this whole process we can do. We have this mapping part here, and the code is forcing, or you can say the framework is forcing us. If we have these many objects, so call save methods that much time. So if we have three objects of subtype, right now driver is acting as a primary and vehicle as a secondary class. So you have to call call save method on all those objects. Okay. So or what else we can do? We can we use one feature Let's clear the database first and stop this. So we are targeting this point. If we have this kind of has a relationship and I don't want to call save method multiple times, at least on secondary classes, it should be ideal if I am saving a parent class, a parent table, or the primary table. So child object should be saved automatically, like inheritance. So same thing we will follow here. Let's go to database, refresh, driver. Let's get rid of the tables. Drop now. Refresh, gone. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll go to main class here, and there I can mention cascade. Okay. And then I'll mention I want all features. Whatever feature I apply on parent class, that should get applied to child classes as well. So what I mentioned, one to many, then cascade. Cascade means just or uh, allow that operation or propagate that operation to the child classes, whatever is applied on parent class or parent table or primary table. So in our case, driver table is acting as a primary table. So we are applying save method on it. So if we are doing that, that means vehicle object, which is part of driver, obviously it's part here. I can see it's one-to-many mapping. So that should also get auto saved. If it is true, let me comment the vehicle object. So I'm just saving driver object. So just one object should save, and all the fields which is actually an entity object should get auto saved. Okay, let's see is it working or not. So right click, run as application, and yeah, everything is fine. We have three tables: driver, vehicle, and vehicle, and everything is similar. Insert, multiple inserts are there. Okay, even it inserts into vehicle. That's cool. And if I go back to database, refresh all, so driver looks same. Vehicle, for that we haven't called save method. Still all three objects get saved, and third table which we have to fix, maybe tomorrow we'll see that, but it is also there. So this line, the only line, I mean not even the line, it's actually a feature of this mapping annotation, cascading. So we have option, whatever feature you want you can use it. It gives you a fine grained control. If you don't want to put all features or forward all the features to child object or the table, you can call specific, in case only if I do merge operation or persist or remove. So it will only remove, it will only act on the child class when remove functionality is applied on parent table. So if I remove any field of parent class, only then child class object will get removed from table, unless everything you have to do it manually. So you can go for all. So all the operation which will be performed on table parent table will get applied to child tables as well. So this line will act as, and we don't need to write extra lines of code to save your child class objects. So just by doing that, we commented code which saves user. And it is, this is applied on this line. Actually, I need these two lines. With whole code is better. This is the key here. Cascade equals to this one. Okay, right. Let me increase its size a little bit. Bold as well. Okay, so we saw what is mapping in Hibernate and how to work around with the mapping part. And we can move forward with the next topic. We still have a time, which is um, HQLs. Like we have SQL in our database section. Same way we have something we call this HQL. stands for Hibernate Query Language. So this is going to be last topic in Hibernate. Again, Hibernate is one of the biggest frameworks so far existing in the Java industry. But thing is, we cannot cover everything. We don't need to do that. We can go with the some basic topics so you have an idea how ORM can be used. Because ultimately we are going to use Spring ORM. Okay, so we're talking about HQ here. Mm. So what HQL stands for? Hibernate Query Language. Hibernate Query Language. Okay, so earlier when we have a table, what we need to write? We need to say select star from table name. Right, that's how we write, and it fetches the record. If I have to be very specific, I'm talking about SQL here. If I have to specific, because this column or this query will fetch all the columns. If I have to be specific and I want only specific column, I can say where ID equals to, let's say 5. So here I have mentioned that I need a specific thing. Okay, this will work. Now, how you can go with HQL if you are writing HQL? So how it's different? First of all, HQL is all about objects. So first note is instead of tables, we have to use entity class names. Fine. So here we have written table name, but when it comes to HQL, writing example, so it goes like, let's suppose we have one entity. Um, I don't know what to pick. Let's say mobile. I'm going to create this class. We have this mobile class. So this is going to be entity class. Now, if I have to write any HQL for it to fetch all the records for this from this table, so I have to say no need to write select, no need to write asterisk. You can just go with from. So you can just write from and then mention what's my entity name? It's mobile. So capital MOBILE. That's it. If I have to write fetch a specific row from a table, I can say from mobile where ID equals to 5. That's how we write HQLs, guys. Okay, so save this 5 and done. So let's see practically how we can move with this or where to write this whole thing. The calling is different, but to give you an idea, instead of writing table names, you have to deal with class names or entity names. Just give me a minute. Fine. So let's see an example on it. So going back to the clips, let's create this class, and before that, let's stop this thing. Stop, close all. Okay. So um, let's create entity first, the mobile thing. Let's save some time. I'll call it mobile. Come on. Mobile class is here. Okay. Now I can change the type, so I don't need this mapping part. Let's remove the status cutters from here. So name, and it's fine. Okay. ID name will work. Uh-oh. Okay, status cutters are ready. Let's register this in configuration file. File, and yeah, class is fin. So we have created entity. We have mapped it in configuration file. Now let's create its tester. Um, What happened to you? Okay, it's going to be HQL tester. Okay, so let's clear this out. Um, let's run a for loop like we did earlier to generate some records. For loop, so I equals to 1, less than equals to, let's say, 10, or it will create 10 objects. And let's instantiate mobile objects. So mobile is equal to mobile, then mobile dot, we don't need ID because that will get auto generated. I just need a name. So I'll just say mobile hyphen and use that ID for just name. And once it's done, I can call that save method multiple times. Save mobile and done. Okay, it's ready. Let's run the code. Application, we should see create and insert queries. So create is here and then insert queries. Ignore other queries because we have multiple mappings in configuration. That's why these get picked up. Oh, but yeah, we can see 10 entries. So let's verify database. Close all. Let's refresh. Mobile. Select. And yeah, we can see 10 entries in table. Great. Okay, so first thing is how to fetch records. So if you have to write a SQL query, we already have a query above there. I don't need this as well. And if I execute this code, highlight and use this execute button, and it will fetch all 10 records. What if I want just one row where id equals to 5, and it fetches only one row? Cool, it's working. So at least SQL is working fine. Now we have to write um, HQLs, Hibernate Query Language. So it will be different. So I don't need this code anymore. I'll comment out. Otherwise, it will add 10 more entries in database. Okay, so how to execute our code? So it says session. Okay, you have to write a session. Then simply write from where you want to fetch the record. So say we have to call that method session dot create query. Okay, and make sure that you are picking the right one, which takes string. This one. Pick the wrong one. This one. And here you have to write that HQL. Let's say I want to fetch all records. So from, now I don't need to write table name because table name starts with small m. Let's try with a small m first of all. Okay, let's see what error we get. I'm intentionally writing it wrong, and this gives me query, and it will be from, write a complete name, query from Hibernate, and let's make it smell this way, and I'll say query dot list. If it gives me a list, so I can get that list to uh, list of mobiles. Mobiles. Okay, and let's run a for loop on this list and print everything. This one, I'll say this out, and I would just want to print the name mobile dot get name. So that's the use of getter. Okay, so let's see. By the way, we have used small m, so it won't work. Let's see what's the outcome. Run as application. So what it is saying, mobile is not mapped. So Hibernate got confused. It says, okay, you are saying that fetch details from this entity, and it is clearly visible that it is not an entity class. It is starting with small m, and it is expecting this. This is an entity, so you have to map it, and it is not found mapped there. Fine. So this is what you get if you use table name. Okay, I'll show you one more annotation. This will clear this doubt. Okay, underline, go away. Okay, so I'm a bit confused, like what is mobile, what, because it's just a case, right? And we have also seen that database are not case sensitive. It's about Hibernate. So to ignore that confusion, let me comment this line. I'm going back to where we generated the table, and this time I will use a different approach. I'll keep this code intact this way. Now going back to mobile, guys, I'm going to show you one more annotation. After entity, where you have mentioned that this class is going to be an entity object, after that, you have to write one annotation at table, and then you can mention the name. What should be your table name in database? In Java class, it is capital M mobile, but on database level, I want the table name should be mobile underscore TV. Single B. Okay, so now it will be clearly different that it's class name and this is table name. So that's how you can configure your table name. What table you want to be created in database, you can also control that. Okay, so everything remains same. I just added this annotation at table. Okay, let's run the code again. And before that, let's drop that table. Mobile, right click, drop table, drop now, gone. Okay, let's run the code. Run as application. Now check the table name. It says create table mobile underscore TV. Great. Let's refresh. There it is, mobile TV. So now it is clearly visible and we can easily differentiate that this is a table name and that's a class name. So now I can go back to my previous example where I was trying to fetch data. So comment this line, else it will create multiple entries. Uncomment this line and this time I'll say from mobile. Okay, let's run this code again. Application. Definitely will fail to understand. We'll say mobile TB is not mapped. So it's clearly visible that Hibernate is expecting that you are supposed to give one entity class and that whatever you have given after from, it should be mapped in configuration file, which is not there. So let's remove it by writing a entity name that is mobile. Okay, it's written. Let's close and clear everything and execute again. Let's see what we get this time. And yes, I can see a select query which fetches all mobile names 1 to 10. I can see, and you guys can see I haven't written any um, SQL query, just wrote a HQL from mobile. Okay, this is done. Great. What if I want a specific one, right? I want a specific record or a specific row. No worries, we can do that. Let's create this query again. Session dot create query. Okay, create query, and here from mobile. Okay, from mobile, the class name, and then where. Now, what's my ID name? It's ID, just ID. So ID. Again, this is not your column name, guys. You have to make sure that you are referring your class field name. It is also ID, so it is also ID. Clear. So don't follow a table column name when you're writing HQL. If you're writing HQL, follow along the class name and its field. So class name is your table name, ID or the row or the field becomes your column name. So here where ID, this ID is actually the field name coming from line 14. Okay. Here where ID equals to 5. Semicolon, and it will give me a query, and then we can say uh, query 2 this time, then query 2 dot get. There's one more method, result list. Here I've used list. You can also use get result list. Okay, both are equivalent, and it will also give you a list irrespective whether you're looking for one record or multiple records. It will always give you a list. It's of type vehicle. I'll say again vehicles. Oh, my bad, not vehicle anymore. We're writing for mobile. Mobile. mobiles 2 because one is already used above, and then I can say, because we are sure if record is there, it should be on index 1. So you can mention uh, mobile name with ID 5 is, and then say mobiles 2 dot get me the index, the 0 index. The very first element should be that element. And let's run the code and see how it comes up. And there it is saying get 0. I have forgot to give the name. Get the name. Okay, run as application. It should say mobile 5. There it is, mobile 5. If it is not making any sense, let's change to something else. Let's say iPhone 101, right? Oops, not save. Apply, apply, finish. Okay, fine. Now, if I run this code, we should get that iPhone version. There it is. Okay, so that's how we write HQL queries. One more topic is left from Hibernate, but I'll give you that as homework. Try that out, and then we can discuss over in classes. So next is criteria API. Thing is, uh, you should also know criteria, but again, I have used this criteria only in one project in this whole session in my own career. Just in one project, I saw someone was using criteria API. Otherwise, if you cannot do, that's fine. I'll help you out. So that's the end for Hibernate. In next class, we will start something different. Maybe we'll start working with Spring Boot. Yeah, say something. Someone.
Pankaj, I have a doubt.
Yeah.
Can you go back to the uh, Eclipse once?
Hmm.
Yeah. Here in the query,
Yes.
you have mentioned right.
Hmm.
For the first one,
Line number.
line number 29, uh,
Hmm.
for mobile, and for this line, and you mentioned there, and here in this one, from mobile where ID equals to 5, but you didn't sorry, you didn't
Hmm.
mention in the second and the query 2, is it
Hmm.
not required to mention
You can
for.
use it. I just give you one more approach because I changed the method. So I thought maybe a different approach. But yeah, you can use it. Let me show you. You can use this and this mobiles 2, right? So I'll make it mobiles 2 and yeah, it will work also. Okay, let me show you. It will also work. There it is. Okay, it will just give this method name. It is coming from here.
Okay.
Their method, some different message. Okay, it's
Yeah.
coming from here.
Okay.
So it's up to you whether you want to go with the for loop because I have 10 records, so that's why I used for loop. And here
Mm-hmm.
I'm no, it's just a one record, so why to use loop? I can print the one line.
Okay. Yeah. Got
Okay,
it.
okay, fine.